Japan, one of the most sought-after tourist destinations in the world, lifted border restrictions and resumed visa-free travel today. But due to the pandemic, there are extra steps for travelers, such as checking vaccination records. Trevor Lee reports from Tokyo.
Finally, here we are in Japan a few years into the pandemic. But extra procedures were observed after landing at Narita Airport, Tokyo's main gateway to the world. Those who filled in the necessary information beforehand will be given a green code with a certificate. After scanning the green code at the counter, they will be issued with an information card, reminding travelers to observe social distancing rules, such as wearing masks. It took an hour and 15 minutes from landing to exiting the airport.
It's not just us who's opened up a lot more recently, so there was a lot more disconnect where people were traveling. There's less security in coming through. It's quicker, so it's nicer.
As the Japanese yen to Hong Kong dollar exchange rate hit new lows, things are apparently cheaper. For example, a 1,300 yen tempura, which used to cost 90 Hong Kong dollars, is now $20 cheaper. Travelers can install an app rolled out by the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare of Japan prior to their departure. They can fill in personal details, and if they are not triple jabbed, they must upload proof of a negative PCR conducted by specific contractors. The code will turn green after approval. We kicked off our trip from Hong Kong this morning. In the past, travelers could get an e-boarding pass after online check-in. As per Japan's requirements, the check-in must be done through counters. There's also something new at the e-channel. After downloading the I Am Smart app, user will only have to show a QR code and go through a face scan to get through clearance without having to show their ID. The airport's food court was renovated, but like many other shops, a lot of them were closed. But the highlights has to be this 28-meter-high sky bridge connecting Terminal 1 with the North Satellite Concourse. Some people call it Hong Kong's Tory Gate. Off we go, let's go to see some real ones soon. Just like pre-COVID times, travelers can make use of the flight time to fill in two forms, one for immigration and the other for customs. Trevor Lee, TVB News, Tokyo, Japan.
Hong Kong reported 4,656 COVID-19 cases today. That's around 200 cases fewer than yesterday's tally. This morning, Chief Executive John Lee hailed the success of the relaxed airport quarantine measure in helping boost the economy. When asked whether further steps will be taken to loosen anti-COVID measures, the CE said more considerations are needed. Timothy Lee has more.
The 0+3 arrangement for inbound travelers has been in place since last month. Chief Executive John Lee today said the measure has rejuvenated the tourism sector. Lee noted that the number of arrivals at the airport has risen by 30% compared with the last month, with foreign tourists rising by 80%. Accompanied by the recent relaxation of social distancing measures in the city's restaurants, some people are asking if it's time to adopt a 0+0 scheme.
We have introduced the 0+3 quarantine arrangement with good results, and many would like us to relax it further to 0+0 quarantine arrangements. But let me remind you that when I implemented 0+3, I did mention a number of uncertain factors which would require us to be cautious. The number of confirmed cases may rise, burdening our healthcare system. So we have to tread carefully before we consider the next step forward.
The take-up rates for 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccines in Hong Kong and Singapore are roughly similar. As Lee is set to deliver his first policy address later this month, will the government announce a schedule for Hong Kong to return to normalcy, following the example of Singapore? The CE believes the COVID policies of the SAR and other regions are not comparable.
We should not compare ourselves with Singapore because we have a different healthcare system. We have a different culture, people have different habits, so such a comparison is not meaningful.
The chief executive is also concerned about certain people who attempt to enter premises that requires the vaccine pass while they are still carrying the red or yellow color health code. He criticized them for undermining the city's efforts to combat the virus and that they should be publicly denounced. Lee also commented on the fact that the enactment of Article 23 of the Basic Law has been deleted from the current year's legislative calendar. He said the government needs more time to assess the issue and the international geopolitical situation. Timothy Lee, TVB News.